read this, and I have to, like as I started reading, I read it several times because I had a mental block on what he's doing here. I didn't really expect it. Basically, I think that what he says, and let's see if I'm right. What he's saying is that the right side of both the Abadika side and the Imadika side could go into Abba, and the left side of the Abadika side and the left side of the Imadika side, they go into the left side, or the left side is their Anpin. Now let's see if that's right. We do have the pictures here of the mochin, and so that kind of lays it out. Let's see, but it doesn't look exactly like that. We're on number Kuf Samach Hey, which is right at the bottom of page Reish Aleph. All right, so let's look at it. He said, "V'hinei ad," and that's right. I'm supposed to read the top part first. Yibur kol elu hamochim heim kodem achilu. So now he's explaining the mochin where they were before there was the switch. So maybe if we got it wrong, let's see. He says, "Hinei nizboyer bechinas hamochim hayotzim and Abba be'ima l'zah." So now the mochin come into zah from Abba be'ima, and he says like this. Beis Kriya Shema, that is at the time of the Kriya Shema. So 1 second. Beis Kriya Shema, Asher Achar Kach Na'asim Bechinas Mochin Nazah. So after they come into what? Min Kodem Ima Val Nazah, before they come in, and then they go into Zer Anpin. Asher Achar Kach Na'asim Bechinas Mochin Nazah. Then after they come in, they're going to become Mochin to Zer Anpin, Lechesed, Gebura, Tefera, Shabbat, etc. Beis Tefillas Yod Ches, and that happens at Sim Shalom and Yod Ches, Kamoshi Yisbar B'Mako B'Makomo. So we'll explain that. So let's look at this little piece again. It starts at the bottom of page Reish Aleph, and it says, V'hinei ad. So that's all you get there. Let's go over here. Ad atan is Ba'arach B'Shemus HaMochin B'Yotzim. So now we're going to explain the names of the mochin hayotzim heim min abba heim min ima, the parts of Zer Anpin. So now we're going to explain the mochin. The mochin that come out, whether they come from Abba, whether they come from Eva, and then they're going into the parts of Zer Anpin. Sheilacham b'mochin hayotzim abba be'ima the Zer Anpin be'esim miras Kriya Shema. So you're saying Kriya Shema is what we're talking about. Ba'oz heim neknasa b'zera b'chabad shelo. They go into his chabad. So Chabad goes into Chabad, that's where it starts. Now we're Kuf Samach Zayin, so Ve'elach b'mochin sheniknasu, so these mochin that niknasu, that entered in Be'ez Kriya Shema b'Chabad Dazah, they went into the Chabad Dazah. As Be'ez Tefillas Amida, Heim Nedachim l'Chagad Dazah, so then at the time you come into the Tefillah, they get pushed downwards. Then other mochin come in and they enter into the Chabad Dazah. So this is apparently Kamoshi Yisbar B'Kamomo, that is in the Kriya Shema, in the Drushim on Kriya Shema. Let me see where I'm at now. Now we're up at the top. The top says Yavur Shachra Chiluf Heim Ba'ofen Acher. But he says that the words are that after the chiluf, they're in a different way. He says, "V'abal ke kasher elu hamochin neknasin the hislavish toch netzach hod yisod the Abba od the Ima." So both we have them overlaid, that Abba's on inside of Ima. The two nais are running together. Edom neknasin b'seder hazeh, but they don't come in the order that we've been showing you. Amnam, he says. Hey, Miss Arvin ba'ofen acher, they mix in another way. Mochin the Chachma, he says that the two mochin of Chachma, that is the Chachma of Abba, the Chachma the Ima, B'shneicha mochin the Chesada the Abba the Ima, Kulam Islavshim toch netzach hod yisod the Abba. So that's really, I wasn't wrong, so it took me a while to figure this out. It's not what I thought they were going to say, but it does make sense. He says that somehow the right sides of both produce Abba, and the left sides of both produce Ima. go into Zera Anpin, the left side of Zera Anpin. Let's see how this goes. I said this wrong. No, or maybe I was right. Maybe that becomes the Abadika side and the other one becomes the Imadika side. Let's see like this. Now this takes place before they Makabalas Mochin. Niknasi Mochin the Abba Benai the Abba. So the Mochin of Abba are going to go into his Nai. So we want to focus on over here the Nai the Abba. So he says, Mochin the Ima Niknasi Benai the Ima. So there's no problem with that. We understand that the Imadik and the Abadik Mochin are going into their respective the parts of whom they're coming from. Because they're Anpin Makabal as a Mochin, the Abba, the Ima, Kushahim, the Lubashim, Tokanai, the Anai, the lamb. So that's the general idea is that the Mochin that Zah receives, and here we're talking about the Mochin from the Most High that come through Abba, the Ima. He says that they're all malubash in the these mochin are malubash in the nai of Abba and the nai of Ima because the Abba Ima. So as they're coming into those two places, the mochin, the nai of Abba and Ima, Ozheim is helping. At this time they switch. They don't come in the order that we've been talking about, which we were just laying out the mochin and what they look like. That you have the same, you have mochin, that we have all the names of the mochin and so on and so forth, and we see them over in our drawing. So just one quick look at the drawing, and these are all of the mochin here from this is the Abadika mochin, these are the Mimadika mochin. And let me see, every time I do this, I lose the place though. Let's look at the mochin. He says, I said that part. כאשר הממוכן נכנס בנאי דאבא ואמא, אז הם נסחלפים ואין נכנס בסדר כנזכר לאל. But המוכן דאבא ואמא נסערבים. What happens is that they start mixing their mochin. So לפיכך הם נכנס בסדר שיינים במה שנזכר לאל. So therefore, the way that we thought about it before, let's say you had an Abba Ve'ima, and into the Nai came all of those mochin that we saw before, that we see here, they all came into Abba, and the one that come from Ima all came into Ima, but it doesn't go like that. So he says, so let's go over to the next page. We're on page Reish Gimel. Page Reish Gimel says that the Dakish Mochin Niknazim Benai Nishtana Seder Kinisasim. So there is a change in the order of their entry. He said, Behu Ki HaMochin HaYeminian. That is the right side mochin. The Haino Chochma, the Abba, the Chochma, the Ima. Let's go on the right side of both of them. Shenikroim Ba'archim Zacharim, because relative to where they're at, they're on the right side. The right side is male. Himnik Nasi Benai the Abba. So everything that's on the right side of both parts of him go into the Nai of Abba. They're also the same thing. Let's look at the mochin, which is the right side of the middle line. Hainu chasad the das the Abba, chasad the das the Ima. Just shneicha b'yam and the emsa. They're both on the right side of the middle, right? He says him niknasi b'nai the Abba. They're the ones that go into the nai of Abba. The nimsa sheb'nai the Abba nimsayim amochem yaminim the Abba, amochem yaminim the Ima. Now, let me see, we're on the next one now. We're going to go into more detail to try to lay this out. So that's basically what I said at the opening, is that that's a situation with Abba Ve'ima. Everything from the right side is going to go into Abba. That's the nature of it. What it actually means, he's going to talk about it later. He says now, Yavur Inyan Achila B'mochin da Abba B'patos. Now, let's look at the Mochin da Abba. Let's look at it more detail. So it comes like this. Chochma the Abba b'netzach the Abba. So the Chochma of Abba, which is the right side of the right, let's just call Abba the right. Ima is the left. So let's say, just in generally speaking. So let's say that Chochma the Abba, which is the right of the right, goes into the netzach the Abba. When it gets into Zah, it becomes the muach called Chochma. That's the Chochma Zeranbin. The Chochma the Ima, what happens to her? Behod the Abba. It goes into the other side, the opposite side, because it's Imadik, even though that it's coming from, it's Imadik. So therefore it goes onto the left side, which is Hod. V'hu muach bina shebazah. That becomes in Zah the muach bina from the side of Abba. The chesed the Abba be Yisod the Abba, then the chesed of Abba goes into the Yisod of Abba. V'hu muach chasadim the shebazah becomes the muach of chasadim in Zah. The chesed the Ima be Yisod the Abba also goes in the Yisod of Abba. V'hu muach hagavura shebazah. So now we see that from the right sides of both Abba and both Ima, they're going into the Nai of Abba. The Nimsa, so it comes out like this. The Nimsa, the Fizeh, Mochin Hayimini and the Mitzad Ima, that the right side, on the side of Ima, Shehem Chochma should be Yamin, but Chasana the Das should be Yamin the Emsa. He said, "V'keven shehem mochin the ima," since they're imadik. That those are my word. If you don't mind, that just throw a little bit Yiddish in there, Yiddishize it a little bit. So therefore, although nikroim nekebos, so therefore that's the right side. Since it's coming from ima, but it's the right side of ima. But nonetheless, they're going to be the kevedik. So he says, "Kupe dalet." Let's see, we're still going okay. He says, as the Chachma and the Chasadim, the Das, the Ima, Mislavshim ba'open zeh. Shecha Chachma, the Ima, should be Yamin, the Ima, so now we're on the right side of Ima, Mislaveshet ba'ho the Abba. It goes into the left side of Abba. Now, that's because it's Imadik, and Imadik goes to the right, to the left side, even though it's the right side of Ima, but since she is the left, so therefore it's got to go into Hod. Mislabesha Bahod the Abba who's small the Abba, which is the left side of Abba. Bahasad the Das the Ima Shehem Biyamin. Okay, let's start here. Okay, and we were at the word V'chasad the Das the Ima. So now the Chasad the Das the Ima. Shehem Biyamin the Ensa, which is on the right side of the middle of Ima. In other words, it's also right side. Mislavshem B'tzad small the Yisod the Abba Shuhu small the Be'emsa. So here we see that the right side of Ima and the right side of Abba are both going into the Nai of Abba in different places. The Ima Shenikneses B'Hod the Abba Nikros Bina the Zah the B'tzad Abba. It's called the Bina of Zah that comes from the side of Abba. So that's the Abbadic side of that's Abba, just like he said. The Chasad the Das the Ima, then the Chasad the Das, which is the right side of Ima, Shnek Nasa Bislavsha B'tzad small the Yisod the Abba that wind up in the left side of the middle of Abba, the Kwam Kaburs the Das the Zah the B'tzad Abba. Now this language could get very confusing if you don't really go over it carefully. So that's what I'm doing. Well, that's what I did. I don't know if it's coming through now. So he said, "V'gam nimsa shecha mochin dezad mitzad Abba." Let's talk about the Abbadika mochin, which is in its 9. Heim rak mechochmos b'chasadim. They all of them come either from chochma or the chasadim. The mochin called chasad or chochmos, or the mochin is called chasadim. Binos gevuros. In other words, there's no mixture of left side. It's all the right sides of both places. Because we see that the Chochma, the Abba, goes into the right side of Abba. The Mitzad Abba Mislavshin Biyamin the Yisod the Abba. To begin with, they're in the right side of the Yisod of Abba. The Chochma the Mitzad Ima. Mislaveshes Bahod the Abba. So, but you're still dealing with Abba, which is all right side. So you're taking all right side from Ima. Nimsa, so it comes out like this. The Abba. If you look in the Netzach of Abba, the Yisod the Abba, and the right side of the Yisod the Abba, that's where you're going to find the two right side pieces of Abba. Now go to the left side of the Nai of Abba, in other words, the Hod. Ubehod the Abba, small the Yisod the Abba, and the left side of the middle of Abba. Sham Nimsoy, excuse me, Shom nimsoim achochma v'sadim de'ima. That's where you're going to find the chasam. There would be the right side of Ima, that is the right side of the right side of Ima, and the middle right side of Ima, are both going to go bo even shebekol hanai the Abba yesh rak chochma v'chasadim hem the Abba v'hem the Ima. So this is what he wants to say, is that's what he wants to say, that just plain out is that the right side of Abba is that Abba himself is going to be made out of right sides. Here's the last one in this sequence. He said, "V'kevan mochin shenim soim b'nai the Abba." So now we see the mochin inside the Abba. Hey, rach chochmas v'chasadim. They're really all right side pieces. The v'chochem mochin dezah the b'tzad Abba. So therefore, these are the mochin of Zah. They came from the right side. The mochin dezah the b'tzad Abba. In other words, the Abadika mochin that go into Zera Anpin. Let's come over here. Now we're going to come to the next part. Yuvur inyan achila b'mochin the ima b'pratos. Now ima, in relationship to Abba, is always on the left side. So to make up Abba, we took the right side of ima. In order to be, that's right, we took the outside of Ima and it went into the middle left and the left of the nai of, in other words, the hod and the gevurus, the das of Abba. Now we'll look at the mochin of Ima. So he said, "Aval shnei amochin de bina u bina de Abba ve'ima." So let's say aval shnei amochin de bina u bina de Abba ve'ima. So I don't know why he said that twice. Let me say the two mochin of Abba and the bina de Abba ve'ima and the bina of Abba ve'ima. The shnei amochin de gevura, that is the gevura de Abba ve'ima. That's the gevura of Abba ve'ima. Kulam islavshim toch netzachod yisod the ima. That's going to be the exact opposite. That these are going to go into the nai of ima. Both and zeh. Bina the Abba. Let's take Abba. It's the far left side of Abba. The netzach the ima is going to go into the netzach of ima, because we're all dealing here just strictly with imadika things. B'hi muach chochma b'shabazah. So this is the muach of chochma dezah, not on the side of ina, the side of Ima, in the nai of Ima. Bina de Ima, behod de Ima. So the Bina of Ima goes into the hod of Ima. Let me see this again. He says he said again, V'hi muach ha'chochma shebazah. Let me see. Open zeh. I'm going back to the previous page because I thought I got mixed up. Bina de Abba. So the Bina the Abba b'netzach the Ima. Okay, fine. Now I got it. It's the right. It's the Bina of Abba who is right is going to go into the right side of Ima. V'hi muach chochma b'zah, and in Zer Anpin it's going to become the muach of chochma. Bina the Ima. Now looking at the Bina the Ima, that's the left of the left, was going to go into the hod of Ima. V'hi muach Bina b'zah, and it goes into the muach and creates the muach of Bina in Zer Anpin. Gevura the Abba. Now the Gevura the Abba be Yisod the Ima. So the Gevura the Abba, which is the left side of the middle of Abba, is going to go into the Yisod of Ima. Who muach chasadim shebazah. So it is because it originally was from the right side, which is chasadim. So therefore, it's going to go into the right side of Ima, which of course is here we're talking about the right side of the middle. Period. Gevura the Ima. Now the Gevura the Ima be Yisod. The Ima is going to go into her Yisod. Muach Gevura shebazah becomes the muach of called Gevura the Zah. V'nimsiki abina v'hagevura the Abba the hiyosin the churim. So here's what he wants to say. There's a punchline. He says the bina and the Gevura the Abba, and the fact that they're going to be, that's the left side of Abba. That's like the left side of the right side. So the left side is, once it starts left, it's going to go the hiyos and the churim, since they're coming from the male side. B'hislavshem b'netzach hod yisod the ima. They're going to be in the netzach and the hod of the yisod of ima. So he says netzach. Let me read again. Nimsik yerabina b'hagavura the Abba. That's right, the right side. The hiyos and the churim, since they're male. B'hislavshem, when they clothe themselves in the right side, b'netzach and hod yisod the ima. So they're going to go into the nai of ima. Nechshav and the bechinas chochma b'chesed. They're going to be considered to be like the aspects of chochma and chesed. The nimsiki mochin the ima kulam bechinas gevuros bekulam dinim, and all of them are dinim. All of them go on the left side because even though they come from the right, they wind up going into the left. So let's see number kuf pei ches in the Tibet Kavanos. They were a little confusing language for me. I need to go slower, but he says we'll hear the tip. Aval shnecha mochim shalabinos. So the two mochin of the binos, which is on the left side, they're the hainu bina dezad and bitzad abba. In other words, what's coming from abba into zah, the bina dezad and bitzad ima. So with these two binos, v'chein shnecha mochin the geburos, the hainu gebur dedas the bitzad abba, or gebur dedas the bitzad ima. So all the left sides are coming in. He says, call arba of the mochim alalu. Shehem shtei rabinos, which are the two binos, that's the bin of Abba, the Ima, just he said, the mitzad Abba, and also the same thing, Vahem mitzad Ima, all of those gevuros and those binos, are okay, starting back at Kutzani, is called Arba Hamumochim Halalo Shehem Shtei Abinos, which are the two binos, Hem Mitzad Abba, Hem Mitzad Imo, wherever they came from, but the left sides, V'chein Shnei Kuvuros Dedas, Hem Mitzad Abba, Hem Mitzad Imas, in other words, Ima Dikar or Abba Dikar, but they're all left sides, Kulam Mislavshin B'tochim Nai the Ima Bavad, they only go in to the Nai of Ima. So all of the left sides, both of Abba and Ima, will be going into the Nai of Ima. So let's look at how this happens. Right? Much bina the Abba shuhu b'tzad small the Abba, so the much bina, which is on the very left side of Abba, mislavish b'netzach the Ima, it's going to go into the netzach of an Ima, even though it's coming from the left side of Abba, but it's going into Ima, and everything when Abba is going to be right oriented. The Ima shuhu b'tzad yamin the Ima. So the bina the ba'aba kasher ku nikna b'netzach the Ima. So he says the bina the abba kasher hu nikna b'netzach the Ima hu naasem more choch b'dezam b'tzad Ima. So that's going to go into the Ima dika nai of Abba on the right side. We're going to look at that chochmas line, the chochan line. Umuach bina b'tzad Ima. But now we're going to the left of the left. Shira Muach Smoli the Zah was going to become the Muach on the left side of Am. Islavish Bahod, the Ima is in the Hod of Ima. Who considers in this in order, Shahare Gama Hod, Uzad is small, so we're going small left to left. So left will stay on the left, and even though it's coming from Ima. So therefore that the Muach, it's on the Abida the Bitzad Ima on the Ima side, Shuhu Muach small, which is the left line, Mislav Shibahod the Ima, it clothes itself in the Hod of Ima, Shagam Ku Bitzad small, so this is also on the left, B'chein Na'asa B'bana Bina Dizad the Bitzad Ima, so that's the Ima Dika flow that's going to Zah. Then he says, Amuach Gabur the Das, the Zah, the Bitzad Abba, so this is coming from the right side, which is Abba is always on the right, Mislavish Bitzad Yaman Shabisod the Ima. It's going to go under the right side of Ima, but it's going into Ima Bakevish Gaburs the Das, the Zad the Bitzad Abba. Mislavshin Biyaman the Yisod the Ima, since they're clothed in the right side of Ima, Lachain Haim Naasim Moch Achasad the Das, the Zad the Bitzad Ima. So it becomes the Moch of the Chasad the Das that came from Abba, that's going to go into the Zad the Bitzad Ima. So they're going to go into the right side of Ima. Then it says, Umuach HaGavuras the Das the Zad the Bitzad Ima, Mislavish Bitzad the small the Yisod the Ima goes into the left side of the Yisod of Ima, because it's left goes to left. Bakevish HaGavuras the Das the Zad the Bitzad Ima, so the Gavuras the Das coming from Ima, Mislavish the small the Yisod the Ima, that's where they're Mislavish now. L'chein heim na'asim Muach HaGavuras the Das the Zad the Bitzad Ima. L'chein Agam shemuach bina HaGavur the Bitzad Abba heim bebechinet nokvin. So he said, let me see this again. He says the Gavuras and the Das that come from Abba, they're on the left side, and the nukvidik side, the nukvidik mochin of the right side. Im calls that heim nechshav dechura, but even so, because they're coming from Abba, and Abba's all right, so therefore they're going to be considered to be male. So they're going to go into the male side of the nukva, of the nine of Ima. Because Abba's male. So when that comes in, now it's in the Netzach of Ima, and it's going into Zera Anpin, so this is what it is, right? The right side of Abba, whatever comes from Abba, even though it comes from the left side of Abba, is going to become the right side of Ima. That's interesting. So that's another way of saying this. So therefore, when you see the moch of Bina the Zav goes into Zav, the Mitzad Abba Benetzach the Ima that comes from the side of Abba goes into the Netzach of Ima. It's the Chochmah Zav, the Mitzad Ima. So it's from the Nai of Ima, that right side is going to become that part. So therefore, when you're going to clothe the Muach of Das, of Gevur, the Das, the Zad, the Mitzad Abba, B'Yomen, the Yisod, the Ima, so that is even though it's the left of Abba, it's going to go into the right of Ima. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So, for the sake of the recording, I'm going to continue because it only has a very small way to go, and tomorrow we'll pick up the reason why we need this chiluf. So all the mochin now become parts of the binas of Gevuros. Because the chochmah of Ima now is going to become the bina, the Abba. It's going to naasa the bina, the Abba. In other words, it comes from the left side of Ima. It comes from Ima, which is all left. So wherever it's going to go in Abba is going to have to be on the left side of Abba. This is the right side of the das of Ima. Na'asim begevuros the das the Abba. They're made from the gevuros of the das. The Abba. Open shakol hatzad hayamim shal Ima. So in this way, that all of the right side of the das of Ima, na'asim mitzad, the small shal Abba comes from the left side of Abba. In other words, again, I'm trying to find the easy way to say this, is that whatever Abba is always right. So even though part of Abba is going to go into Ima, it's always going to be on the right side of Ima. And Ima is always left. So whatever part of Ima is going to go into Abba is always going to be on the left side of Abba. But the Bina, the Ima, even though that Abba is right and Ima is left, that's the mixture that's taking place. But Bina, the Ima, Na'asi, Bina, the Ima, so the Bina is made out of the Bina of Ima, Atzma. Gavur the das the Ima na'asim the Gavur the das the Ima atzma. So the Gavuros goes to Gavuros. And here we go to the last one. Mare shakal the mochin the Ima na'asim mitzad is small. So here's what comes to that idea again. So he says all of the mochin that wind up in the nai of Ima, all of them come from the left side, either the left side of Abba or the left side of Ima. Heim shal Abba, that's what he says, but Heim shal Ima. So therefore they're all going to be dinim. That's the shir. I don't mention it's particularly easy. I've been working on it for 10 years or whatever it is. In a different language, we call the ma, the ben, the ma. And then we had the ben, and the ma, the ben. They switched. There's a switch. That's the way that I saw it in the Eitz Chaim. This is different, slightly different because it's much more developed. This is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun elevator.